Welcome back to Cheddar, everyone. The SAT no longer plans to give test takers an adversity score. The College Board received backlash after announcing it would give students a score that would encompass their economic hardship. The College Board now saying that crunching all of these numbers into one score proved to be problematic and reversed the decision. Joining us now is David Coleman, CEO of the College Board. David, thank you for joining us here today. As we mentioned, a lot of pushback when this was first announced. So explain to us what led to the decision to abandon the adversity score entirely.
Maybe I'll start with what we're still doing and what remains the same, which is we will still provide to colleges consistent information as they look at the places students live and where they learn. So in other words, college admissions officers have been overwhelmed by the number of applications they're receiving. So we will give to those admissions officers a way to recognize those schools they haven't visited and they do not know. Our members told us that for 25% of the students they look at, they have no information about their high school altogether. So we'll continue to give them that consistent information about the neighborhood and school. What we won't do is try to give a single score, as you said, because the College Board's real mission is to score achievement, not adversity. A single score confused people, and we're really trying to find general background information, really the context in which all a student's achievements are seen.
Okay, and so I guess coming back to the question here just a little bit, what led to the decision? If we were to be a fly on the wall in that room as you were having the conversation, the discussion, evaluating a lot of the pushback, what was talked about there which ultimately netted out in this decision?
There are two forces behind the decision, just to lay it out for you. One group is our members, which are the admissions officers actually using the tool. And what they found is combining both the neighborhood and school information into a single score was not really useful to them. They actually told us better to separate that information because it's really interesting when it diverges, when there's really different information about the school a student goes to and the neighborhood in which they live. So breaking them apart was better for the admissions process. At the same point, it was better for families, students, and the American public. They saw us scoring adversity. It caused a great deal of confusion that we were somehow scoring it in the same way we score students' work. And so we had a situation where for two different but powerful reasons it was time to change. And you may know that we also made a change by making a commitment to share this information with every student and family in their College Board account within a year. Because another concern was, hey, share this with us, be transparent.
Can you give us some insight as to the conversations you have with colleges and admissions teams themselves in terms of how they're thinking about what factors are important this year? How do we think about the demographics of our students? What do those conversations look like?
I think you might be pleased to know how hungry the admissions community is to find an increasingly broad set of American talent and even talent around the world. But really, and they came to us with the anxiety that they don't know rural schools well enough, that they understand their limits to the schools they can visit and the neighborhoods they can know. And what I was very moved by is, so if you look at Jeremiah Quinlan's quote from Yale today, he said they've got 4% more Pell eligible students joining the class, which is a big deal, from 16 to 20%, because he said we could find students from high schools we had never heard of before. We had the background we needed to see their excellence. And so I think that admissions officers realize that there's a broad swath of talent in America, and they've got to move beyond their existing circles of who they know to find the best kids.
And so in the unfair admissions practices that we've heard about, it's been a hot topic. Harvard University facing a lawsuit accusing the school of holding Asian American applicants to a higher standard. And then you've got University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, University of California system also saw lawsuits charging them for unfair admission practices similarly. What is bringing the idea of considering a student's race and class into college admissions standards?
Honestly, you ask a lot of big things, and I don't want to not answer your big, broad question because it's a rich, beautiful question. This is a more modest tool in that it really tries to give consistent information about, regardless of race, of the neighborhood and school circumstances in which a student has achieved what they've achieved. So simple things like, what was your SAT score compared to the other students at your school? You may have taken a number of AP courses, but how many AP courses were available to you? So I don't think, in all due humility, that this question answers your broad questions about race and class and their appropriate role in the college process. But what it does do is begin to correct for the limited vision we all have of the things we know and allow us to see a broader set of talent. So it moves us towards that ideal, but it does not answer the profound questions I believe you're asking.
Okay, there's obviously considerations of race, of gender, of adversity, all of these things. But then, how do standardized tests now fit into the landscape? Because a
Yeah,
lot of colleges at this point looking for well-rounded candidates or candidates who
yeah,
are very good at one particular thing. It changes
yeah,
so much year to year.
yeah.
So, how important at this point do you think standardized tests still are in the eyes of college admissions boards?
So, just to say it, our landscape tool, as you may know, doesn't happen to have race within it or focus on the gender background of individual students. It gives general information about neighborhoods and schools that students live and learn. Just to clarify, but as you say, there's then all the individual information within the application that different colleges consider in different ways. What the SAT and standardized tests like advanced placement do is give ways for students to show their achievement. So students are dealt very different hands. They grow up in different neighborhoods and different environments. And this gives one shared way, but there are lots of other ways, and there should be lots of other ways. There are extracurricular achievements, their grades, and other achievements. What I would say to you is, if it's useful, is that I think there is a destructive madness that's gone on in the admissions process where young people feel they need to do more and more just to get into college. I wrote an essay about this in The Atlantic, arguing that doing a few things well is a better way to live your life and get into college, so that while it can seem like they're looking at so much, it's actually, I believe, fairly consistent. They're looking for you to fall in love with part of your learning and show a strength. They're looking at you to be good at something outside of class. And those core things that they're looking for, I believe, maybe haven't changed. But I think we've gotten into a crazy situation where we ask kids to list too many activities. I've argued the admissions procedure should only allow you to list 3. If you want to do more, God bless you, but not to get into college. So I do believe, like you're saying, we have to calm down and say there are lots of ways to show your academic strength, show something outside of class you love and are devoted to in which you shine. And honestly, that's kind of enough.
There have been some high-profile cheating scandals, of course, when it comes to college
Yeah.
admissions. Cheating an issue to some extent on the SAT and other tests. Have you ever considered maybe computer adaptive tests or adding different categories? How do those decisions get made at the College Board as to how to change the SATs?
It's a great question. And of course, as you may know, we're experimenting with online administration of the SAT and adaptive constructs to do that. And I won't bore you with some of the types of adaptive constructs. Um, and what I'll say is, taking your question apart, the cheating that happened in the Varsity Blues scandal really didn't have to do with the format of the exam, whether it was computer adaptive or whether it was on paper. It had to do with exploiting a very special kind of situation in which someone took a test, which is special needs students are sometimes given waivers to take the exam in a very small environment with just a proctor and themselves. And that was abused by really bribing the proctor and putting in a false student and what we've done is insisted in those situations that they'll happen instead at the school, and if they don't, make identity verification much more intensive in those very rare exceptions. So that was dealing with that. What is true about computer adaptive testing is it can be a partial solution to what you describe. I wish it would just make cheating go away, but even computer adaptive tests finally rely on a larger pool of items that can then be shared and revealed. So there's no magic bullet in a world where such great resources are spent on cheating. And what's sad about it is, it's not only tests that fall this, it's extracurricular activities that are misrepresented. There's undue pressure on teachers, increasingly in wealthy schools, to give high grades. So there's a lot of pressure in the equation, and we're doing our best to make the exam, fair and avoid cheating. But there's a lot of pressure in the system on almost every part of it.
All right, a very nuanced system indeed. So thank you for shining a light on how decisions
Thank
get
you.
made. David Coleman is the CEO of the College Board. Thanks again for your time.